Ayo, it's your boy J3MRI, and welcome to J3MRI's Wrestle Watch podcast. So today, I watched the Monday Night Raw from January 18th, 2010, which, if you were to go watch it on Peacock, it is Season 18, Episode 3. This episode was the Martin Luther King episode day. The Martin Luther King Day episode, I guess, because they started it off showing like a little montage type thing in front of the I Have a Dream speech. So that happened, and then right after that the episode started. The episode started off with the announce team announcing that there's going to be a tag team match between Kofi Kingston and John Cena versus Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase, because of last week there was that triple threat match that was Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston, and Randy Orton to see who's going to be the number one contender, and have the match against Sheamus at the Royal Rumble. But since Legacy cheated, John Cena and Kofi Kingston got to have their match against him, but that's later on in the night. They just announced that that was going to happen. And this episode of Monday Night Raw will be hosted by Don Johnson and Jon Heder, which I guess Jon Heder played Napoleon Dynamite. I don't know who Don Johnson is, honestly. I'm sorry. Vince McMahon starts off the show, though, by coming out to the ring. And Vince starts to say, life is about decisions. Sometimes you make good decisions, sometimes you make bad decisions, but it's always tough decisions when you're in business. And he made the decision to bring Raw to this godforsaken community. Hope it's not one I regret. And then he proceeds to say that a couple weeks ago, he made the decision to let Bret Hart return to WWE. He also made the decision to kick him in the guts, leaving him humbled and humiliated. He made a decision last week to make sure Bret Hart will never return to WWE again. And he adds, he did it for the WWE Universe, because he wants them to remember Bret Hart for what he was, for being the Hitman, not what he is now. He adds that he is now just a broken down, apologetic warhorse that needs to be put down. And that's what Vince McMahon does. He says, he'll use an analogy. He starts to say, most of you probably chew gum, right? When you chew gum, you chew it all up, and you chew, and you chew, and then when it loses flavor, you spit it out. Bret Hart lost his flavor, and Vince McMahon last week just spit him out. Then he proceeds to say Bret Hart lost his flavor and he needed to be spit out, and if he let Bret Hart stay, he'd be like a disease. He'd be like gangrene, where he starts a little bit on the finger, and then he works his way up the arm, and then he'd have to cut your arm off, and that's what Vince McMahon does. He makes the hard decisions. He makes the decision to cut the arm off to stop him from continuing to infect the company. And then Undertaker's music hits, that gung gung, that gong noise or whatever it is. And Vince is like, what's going on? Why is he coming for me? Vince tells Undertaker he wasn't done yet. And he's like, this is my time. This is my show. And then Undertaker says, the way I see it, this is my time. And Vince is just kind of standing there all scared like a nerd. No. And Vince is like, yeah, it's your turn. Yeah, your time. Yeah, you, And then Undertaker proceeds to tell him, like, there's not many of us left, but I was there in Montreal. This is my Undertaker voice. I can't do impressions. Just leave me. But he said that he saw the fear in Vince McMahon's eyes that night when he screwed Bret Hart over, and he sees the fear now when he did it again. And Like, Vince can put on this facade, pretend that he's all big and bad, but he knows that inside, Vince McMahon is terrified. Yeah. And he says that he not only screwed Bret Hart once, but he screwed him twice. And now Vince is scared of the consequences. And he banned Bret Hart from coming back because he's scared to face the consequences of his own actions. Vince McMahon decides to say, well, I disagree, but this is your time. And then he literally just gets out of the ring, just runs the heck backstage. Wimp. But yeah, he just got out of the ring. He was like, nope, I am not dealing with that man right now. Got the heck right back out of there. So then Undertaker transitions to talking about Shawn Michaels. And he starts to say, Shawn Michaels said last year at WrestleMania he'd break the streak, but the streak is still unbroken. For more than a month now, Shawn's been asking for a rematch. Shawn's been begging for another shot at breaking the streak this year. And then Shawn Michaels' music kicks in. And he comes down. Let me restart because that was just, I fumbled my words so bad. Shawn Michaels' music comes on as the Heartbreak Kid enters the ring. Taker tells him he got closer than others have to breaking the streak, but he failed. And Taker says that he has absolutely nothing to prove to Shawn Michaels because he already beat him once at Mania and he would do it again. So he says, my answer about Mania is no. But if you really think you could beat me, I'll give you an opportunity tonight. And the crowd freaked out and they were like, Taker, Taker, freaking out. And then Shawn Michaels, after standing there for 5 minutes just staring at Undertaker all salty, was like, no. If I'm going to beat you, I have to beat you on the biggest stage that there is. And he proceeds to say, if I'm gonna beat you, I have to take your title, I have to take your streak, I have to take your soul. Everything you have will be mine. And he says that since it's the only other way he has to get to Taker, he is going to win the Rumble. And when he wins the Rumble, there will be no question on who is he going to face at WrestleMania. Because everyone here should know he is going to win the Rumble and he is going to face the dead man, Undertaker. And then after a quick commercial break, Sheamus and Evan Bourne enter for a one-on-one match. And then, like 5 seconds into them having a match, Randy Orton's music comes on, and he just comes out and he's standing at the end of the ramp just staring at them have their match. And Sheamus does end up eating quite a bit of damage from Bourne, almost getting pinned by him. It's like a weird roll-up type pin, but Sheamus kicks out, which you do hear Jerry Lawler be like, oh my gosh, Orton almost cost Sheamus the match, even though Orton did nothing but stand there. He didn't attack him, he didn't make him think he was just standing there watching him, so like, okay, Jerry Lawler, maybe he almost cost him the match. Like, maybe Sheamus should have been paying attention. But Sheamus ends up hitting Bourne with a Celtic Cross and getting the 3 count on him. And then after that, Randy Orton enters the ring, and the two of them are just staring at each other. And then Sheamus like walks back to the ropes and like sticks his hand over the rope, and I don't know who it is, but someone hands him the the WWE title, since he's currently the WWE champion, and he starts to hold the title up in front of Orton. Nobody says a word. They're just staring at each other, completely silent. Sheamus is just holding up the championship in front of him. No one even attacks each other. Sheamus just gets out of the ring and walks away, and Randy Orton's just still standing in the ring, being like, okay, I'm going to take your title out of the Rumble, bro. And then it cuts to DX talking to Don Johnson backstage about how he hates Jon Heder. And I guess last time Jon Heder was on Raw, they beefed. I don't know what happened. I didn't see that episode. I don't remember there being so many guest hosts back in the day, though, honestly. Because there's Mike Tyson, there was Bret Hart, now there's Don Johnson and Jon Heder. Next week is supposed to be those dudes from Psych. It's crazy. I don't remember it 2010 being the year of guest hosts, but yeah, I guess they were just having guest hosts galore that year. Any celebrity that's willing to take an RKO, please come to WWE in 2010. But it cuts to Jerry Lawler called him Carlito. I don't actually know if it was Carlito, because I genuinely couldn't tell. If it was Carlito, he looks so different. But it cuts to Carlito, I guess, dressed as Napoleon Dynamite. But Don Johnson walked up to him and he was like, "Hey, John, is that you?" And it was not. I guess it was Carlito dressed as Napoleon Dynamite. And Don Johnson was like, "Oh, sorry. Are you a fan of Napoleon Dynamite?" And Carlito's like, "Nope, never heard of him. What's that?" And then it cuts to the All-American, American Jack Swagger coming out, and he enters the ring, and he announces that he wants another All-American, American over-the-top rope challenge right now. And he tells Santino, "Get out here. If you think you could throw me over the rope again, get out here and throw me over the rope again." But Santino comes out. I don't know who he's dressed as. I don't know who Don Johnson is, so I don't know what character of his Santino came out dressed as. But he came out dressed as a Don Johnson character. And he starts to say that he is not only an amazing wrestler, but he is the head of the IFDJC, which is the Italian Don Johnson fan club. And since Don Johnson is here, he's very busy tonight dealing with club member business. But he's got someone that's willing to substitute for him in this match. And then Mark Henry's music kicks in and it's like somebody's about to get their ass kicked. I love his theme. It was so dope. I miss Mark Henry. But Mark Henry decides to take the challenge for him. And the match was so short. Honestly, it was probably a minute long. It was probably 40 seconds long, honestly. It was just Jack Swagger ducks under one punch of Mark Henry, and he starts trying to punch him in the back. And then Mark Henry just kind of turns around, and he genuinely, no joke, just picks him straight up in the air, right above him, and just yeets him out the ring. There's no fight. He picks him up and just goes, yeet! Jack Swagger just hits the ground, just like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Not looking good for Swagger at the Rumble. Looking very bad, actually. Man lost 2 All-American, American over-the-rope challenges in a row, so rip. And then it cuts backstage to the Bellas and Jon Heder getting out of a limousine while Heder is talking to, we don't see who it is, but he's just talking to someone else that's still in the limo. And he's like, "Hey, just remember, don't come out until I tell you to, okay?" And then it just kind of cuts to Jon Heder. Well, it cuts to what would have been a commercial break, but for some reason the ads don't line up with where they should be, which is very annoying that it has it cut to an ad and then they just randomly have Peacock ads just thrown in the wrong place. That really irks me, dude. But after that, it cuts to Jon Heder and Don Johnson entering the ring with the Bellas. Which you would think there'd be a reason the Bellas are there. But there's literally no reason, dude. The Bellas don't say anything. The Bellas don't do anything. They just walk out with the two of them. And then the second that Jon Heder and Don Johnson start speaking, the Bellas leave. They just go right backstage. What's the point of that? I get that it's like, oh, all the women are going all around the movie stars, but bro, they did nothing. They were just pretty faces to stand next to them so that the movie stars could be horn dogs for a minute, dude. Like, what? But they announce that the main event will feature DX, and then Jon Heder's like, I don't know about that. I don't really like those guys. I don't really like DX is the thing. And then he starts to say that he wants to bring out one of his closest friends and one of the biggest things in this business today. And then the Miz's music kicks in. And the hottest thing on TV, the host of Miz TV. I don't know if he did Miz TV back then. That was just me talking about how I love the Miz. But the Miz comes out. And the Miz just starts talking about how Don Johnson had someone that was riding his coattails for a while. I don't know who Don Johnson is, so I don't know who the guy is. And then the Miz starts to talk about how that's what MVP's been trying to do. And MVP thinks he can compete on my level, but he is not on my level. But then MVP interrupts the Miz, and he comes out and he apologizes to Don Johnson for having to deal with the Miz's ridiculous nonsense. And then he apologizes to the audience for them having to see the Miz for weeks and having to deal with all of his ridiculousness all the time. And he announces that he is in the Rumble, and if he does nothing else, if he doesn't win, he will make sure that he throws the Miz out, because the Miz cannot win a match like that. And he says that he's going to come out there and he's going to throw the Miz out of the ring right now to show that he can do it. And Jon Heder, because you're friends with this clown, I'm going to throw you out of the ring too. And so he starts to run down, and then, well, it's the Big Show kicks on, and the big man himself comes down to the ring. MVP and Miz start throwing fists, and Big Show just grabs MVP, flips him towards him, and just KO punches him. MVP just flops to the ground. He's dead. Man dies. And then Big Show hops in, and Jon Heder starts to explain, well, Miz, don't get mad. Me and Big Show have the same manager, and I thought it would be good if I ask him to come out if I need anything. Just have him have my back. Just in case, because you never know around this place. And then he says, like, why? This could be a great idea. The Miz and Big Show, the newest, hottest tag team in the game. And he creates MizShow, but he doesn't call them MizShow yet. They probably come up with that dookie name later on. But, yeah, they finally create MizShow, so that's hype that I got to see the origin of them. And then after a quick commercial break, it cuts to John Cena entering for his tag match with his now partner Kofi Kingston, because that's the match that they announced earlier, where it's going to be Kofi Kingston and John Cena versus Legacy, because of the nonsense that Legacy pulled last week, costing Cena and Kofi their shots to face Sheamus at the Royal Rumble match. Well, not in the Rumble match, but having a match at the Royal Rumble. But I just needed to quickly say, during the recap of the Triple Threat match last week, Well, like this week they were recapping what happened last week, is what I'm saying. Jerry Lawler accidentally called Randy Orton Randy Savage. So, close enough though. A for effort, I guess. But after a very long, hard-fought match, Kofi ends up getting the 3 count on Cody, because Cena got like an AA off, and then Ted DiBiase broke the pin up, and then Cena turned and he tagged in Kofi, and Ted DiBiase and Cena end up outside of the ring just brawling, and Kofi goes up top. Well, actually, no, what happened was Ted DiBiase was like helping up Cody and trying to get him back in the game, and then he like saw that Kofi was about to dive on them, so he hopped out of the ring, and Cena attacked him while he was outside of the ring. And the kick that Ted DiBiase dodged ends up hitting Cody, knocking him out, giving Kofi the 3 count. Kofi and Cena win. Rip Legacy. But after that match, after Cena gets the dubski, it cuts to, well, that was a real bad voice crack, but it cuts to MizShow, because I'm going to call them MizShow even though they're not officially MizShow yet at this point, and Jon Heder backstage, and they're just kind of talking about how stupid it is and how this is going to be a great idea, but how stupid Don Johnson was for doubting this, and this is going to be such a great match. And then you see a stepladder just slowly get pushed into frame, but you don't see who's pushing it. You don't know what's going on. You just see a little stepladder just slowly scooch into frame in between Miz and Jon Heder, and they're like, what the heck? And then Hornswoggle slowly climbs up the ladder, and in that weird, like, I don't know what the noises are even supposed to be, but that, like, noises that he makes, he starts trying to yell at Jon Heder for, I guess, because he doesn't like DX, and DX doesn't like him. So he starts yelling at him, and then he starts yelling at The Miz, and then he goes back to yelling at Jon Heder, and then Triple H comes over, and Triple H explains, Jon Heder, Hornswoggle's trying to challenge you to to a one-on-one match tonight. And Jon Hetter's like, what? No, what? And Miz is like, he is not going to do that. At one point, Triple H is like, whoa, Hornswoggle, language, this is a family show. But since he's just like, makes those weird ass noises, and that's supposed to be him talking, I don't know what curses he was saying, but hopefully it was some pretty fire ones. But yeah, it ends up Triple H being like, yeah, well, how about we have Hornswoggle join our team, Jon Heder join your team, and we make this a 6-man tag match. And Big Show and Miz are like, okay, let's do it. And Jon Hetter's like, wait, what's going on? No. And Big Show and Miz are like, yeah, that's a great idea. We're going to destroy you guys. Big Show's like, I cannot wait to get my hands on that little, I forget what he called him, like a cricket or something. But yeah, Jon Hetter's freaking out, being like, guys, what did you just do? And they're like, dude, it'll be okay. We're going to get you custom ring gear. It'll be awesome. Just trust us. We'll take them down. You could help us polish them off. It'll be okay. And then it cuts to Maurice entering the ring, and Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole, which they didn't announce this before, or at all, they didn't talk about what was going on, just say that there's going to be a women's tag match going on, right? Well, they said Divas tag match, because it was Diva territory back then. But Maurice comes out, and then Alicia Fox is her tag partner, and then Gail Kim and Eve Torres are going to be their opponents in this match. And Jerry Lawler's horn dog comment of the week was, this match is going to be so hot, it may contribute to global warming. Okay, Jerry Lawler. Calm down, old man. But the match starts, and Jerry Lawler says he doesn't think that Maurice really thinks much. And Adam Cole, really Adam, not Adam Cole, I said Adam Cole. That's not the... Michael Cole, sorry, says that he doesn't think that most of the Divas do, which that's pretty... Come on, guys, that's pretty messed up. But after a match that lasts 2 minutes and 52 seconds, Eve Torres ends up making Alicia Fox tap out. Which, how, in an hour and a half of wrestling I watched, less than 3 minutes was that one Divas match. That's crazy. John Cena and Kofi versus Legacy was like 10 minutes, and they got 3. Dang, bro, that's nuts. But after that Divas match, it cuts to Don Johnson doing a palm reading on Kelly Kelly, which I would like to point out. He says that this line here means that you're going to have a baby. And then he says, my baby, which, whoa, dude, what the heck? And then Jon Heder comes over, like hyperventilating into a plastic bag, just freaking out because he just got himself into a match against DX, and he's not a wrestler, he's just an actor, I don't do this. But then the Miz comes over, and he tries to calm him down. And Big Show and MizShow Heder his ring gear, and he's got this like Ric Flair-esque robe that says the Flame on the back, and they're like, don't worry, dude, we'll beat them down. You could just tag in and help us polish them off when, like, at the end when they're all beaten down. And they, like, tell him that the name The Flame is cool because you can't extinguish the flame. And then Jon Heder starts trying to be like, yeah, that could be cool. And if we get, like, some pyro on my hands, and Big Show's like, that's not a good idea. That sounds dangerous. Miz's hair is very flammable. Yeah, and then after that, it cuts to Vince McMahon. It cuts to... What is wrong with me? It cuts to Vince McMahon ranting to Triple H about what Undertaker said to him earlier. About how Undertaker said that he's scared, and how he screwed him, and how this makes him look like a... And then Triple H just kind of tells him, like, hey, dude, this is a lose-lose right now. You banned him. You look scared. You unban him. You have to deal with what you caused by screwing him over twice. You could have played nice and pretended to be cool, and Bret Hart would have left. He would have never come back. You guys would have been fine. But no, you had to screw him over, and now you're hiding from it, and you look scared. It's either you deal with this, or you just keep looking scared. It's up to you, dude. And then after that, Vince is just like, well, what? All like worked up. And then it cuts to Shawn. No, it doesn't cut to him. Like, Vince McMahon walks away, and then Shawn Michaels walks over to him. And he's like, hey, Triple H, what did you want with me earlier when you said that you wanted to talk to me? And Triple H is like, oh yeah, this is very important. And then you see Hornswoggle's stepladder come back into frame, and Hornswoggle climbs it. And Triple H is like, well, this is very important. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. And then they start to walk away, and Shawn Michaels like, wait, who's gonna get him? And Triple H tells him, like, you could get him. Go ahead. And Shawn Michaels is like, I can't get him. He's heavy. You get him. So Triple H ends up giving him a piggyback ride. Let's go. Piggyback rides Hornswoggle, dude. But then after that, it cuts to Randy Orton entering the ring for a one-on-one match against the man from Big Time Rush, Mr. Guy that was a teacher in Big Time Rush for one episode, but Big Time Rush scared him off by pretending to puke on their desk. But it cuts to Chris the Masterpiece Masters, and literally the second the bell rings, Sheamus's music comes on, Sheamus comes out, and he just stands there watching, just holding his championship, looking like, I'm gonna mess you up the second you lose. But a couple minutes into the match, Randy Orton went for an RKO, but Chris the Masterpiece Masters got him in the Master Lock. Master. No. You gotta say it enough times that it doesn't feel like a real word anymore. But then Like, Randy Orton went for the RKO, and Chris Masters got him in the Master Lock. And Randy Orton's like freaking out, being like, "No, am I really gonna lose like this? Sheamus cost me the win." But I don't know why they're blaming each other, because Guy, you're the one that just let yourself flub up because Sheamus is standing here. He's not attacking you. Just win your match. But yeah. Orton works his way over to the ropes and forces a rope break. So Masters like, let's go, and then he goes for it again, but this time Randy Orton successfully hits the RKO and gets the 3 count. But the second the match is over, Sheamus hops in, Randy Orton starts to stand up and takes one heck of a bro kick. He's on the ground, Sheamus is celebrating, being like, "Yeah, that's gonna happen at the Rumble, don't mess with me, dude." And then it cuts backstage to Miz and Jon Heder. Well, no, I was wrong. It cuts to the ring, but like after those "Did you know" segments where they're like, "Did you know last Monday Night Raw was the most viewed episode on USA Network," or whatever it used to do. But then it cuts to MizShow and Jon Heder coming out for their match. Although I was never really a big fan of when like tag teams come out like one person first and then one person next. Like, I know Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens did that, but it always just felt kind of awkward because Kevin Owens is just standing there like, "Yep." Like, Big Show entered the ring, and then The Miz entered the ring, and then Jon Heder entered the ring. That just feels like it takes up so much time that like the women's match could have had like built out, or like anything. It felt like it was just kind of to waste time showing that much. And then it cuts to DX, who had Don Johnson enter, but they all entered together, which is how I feel like it should be. But yeah, Don Johnson accompanies DX to the ring. And after a little bit of the match, Hornswoggle tags himself in. And he like hits a pretty decent drop kick on The Miz, like while The Miz is on the ground. But The Miz ends up clotheslining Hornswoggle and then tagging in Jon Heder. But Jon Heder celebrates too much, and Hornswoggle ends up tagging in Triple H, and Triple H punches Jon Heder like twice in the face, and he like flops to the ground, and then Big Show hops into the ring. Big Show hops in, and he tries to save Jon Heder, but Big Show ends up eating one heck of a Sweet Chin Music, which he sells the crap out of it. He does that thing that every wrestler would do. Well, not every wrestler, but like so many would do, where you just stand there acting like you're fine, and then you just flop to the ground. I always loved when they do that. Except he falls on top of Jon Heder, so Hetter's not able to move. And then Hornswoggle goes up to the top rope and hits him with a tadpole splash, and gets the 3 count on Jon Heder. Then Triple H starts to cut a promo, and he's like, "Now that that's out of the way, Sean, you're going to need to find another way to have a match with Taker." And then John Cena's music kicks on, and he declares himself in the Rumble and says that that the last Rumble he was in, he won, and he is going to win this year's Royal Rumble too. And then Big Show gets back in the ring, and he picks up a microphone, and he says, "I'm going to show you right now why you and you are going to be in trouble during the Rumble." And he like starts wailing on DX, knocks them both to the ground, turns around, John Cena ends up throwing Big Show out of the ring. And then while Cena's like talking smack to Big Show, DX runs up behind him and yeets him out of the ring. And then Triple H runs over and throws Shawn Michaels out of the ring. And he starts to say, "Shawn, this is what I've been trying to tell you the whole entire day. You're going to need to find a new way to have your match against Undertaker, because I am going to be the one to win the Rumble and then he just kind of drops the microphone, and the screen just kind of fades to black. Show over. I feel like this was a very packed, but also really fun episode of Monday Night Raw. I'd say that this DX guest host match was probably better than the Mike Tyson one.